True Sound Studios is in your ears.
Okay guys, so welcome back to yet another point of view mixing here at True Sound Studios. So today we got like this house track. Here is the really quick, like the rough mix that the client sent me.
Help, let go of me. Artificial, genuinely.
So it's like this very modern house, kind of mainstream pop track with a male vocal in here. So I got all the tracks all set up, 18 tracks in total. Actually, these last two are just two different mixes that the client also sent me. And so I'm going to go ahead and start processing these. So I've already gone ahead and arranged all the tracks this time. You guys don't need to see that. I just like to do drums first and then instruments and vocals. So first thing we have is the kick drum. As you can see, these are all stereo files. I really doubt this is a stereo file. So let's go ahead and play it. Come over here to my mixer and go to mono. Stereo. So there's no change, so I'm gonna just guess that this is in mono. Well, not guess. I know that this is in mono. So we're gonna go ahead and just let it bounce down and convert this all to a mono file. Okay, here we go. So you can see it looks like already up front here something is different about this. Let's take a listen to this. So the client must have changed the EQ here, so I'm going to go ahead and just clone this because obviously this is two different sounds, so I'm going to treat them differently. So this will just be kick intro, and the other one will be the main kick. So that's cool. It's a very thumpy kick. So let's get to the clap. So I just need to know if this is truly a mono file or it's actually stereo. So this sounds stereo. Yes, and it is. So we're going to keep this one stereo, so this is fine. So we can leave that alone. This hi-hat, let's see here. That sounds mono. And it is. Clicking it between mono and stereo, you can't tell the difference. If you guys haven't seen any of my other videos, this was an Allen Heath console. The whole thing's been modded. You can see some other videos. I'll link those in the description. This mic is picking up the audio for this video. I'm not using the camera audio. Got some DBX compression, some API EQs over there, SSL converters, clocked by an Apogee Big Ben, and just some other stuff. Mixer window, main monitor up front here. So that's just a quick breakdown of this setup. Like I said, I'll include some links if you guys want to see some more stuff. Oh, so these are big toms, sounds like. With like maybe some sort of wood block afterwards. Let's see what this is. So it's different. That's like a tom timpani type thing. Maybe I'll just automate that, and you can see something happens at here at the end. So it's just that wood block and the toms. So I'll leave that alone. That's going to be a little bit of playing around. Let's go ahead and just get to the kick drum. Let's start processing something. So for kick drum, drums just in general, I absolutely love this thing right here. This is the Soft Tube Console 1. This thing is amazing for drums. No, I'm not sponsored by them, but I think this thing is just truly amazing. Does everything I would ever want a drum plugin to do. So let's get to a section where there's a lot more kick drum. Let me take a listen to this. I'm going to turn on the subwoofer. It's probably going to get a little rumbly, especially with that mic. Oh yeah. Good 40 hertz going on in this thing. Probably pull out a little bit of 100. There, like 154, cut out about 3 decibels. I'm going to compress this, really fast attack, try to control that snap a little bit more. Turn up the ratio a little bit. So take that back off. So we're controlling that low end with that compressor. Now, that's a pretty fast attack. This is actually as fast as this compressor goes. And what I want to do is just blend this in with this parallel wet dry. This thing honestly sounds pretty darn good right from the get-go here. Only thing I might have to adjust later on is the high end, the brightness on this kick drum. Might be too much as of right now, but we'll leave it alone. Let's just go ahead and copy these same settings over for that intro kick drum. Let's take a listen to this. So yeah, just no low end. Oh, even that EQ thing helped a little bit. Compressor is really not doing anything for this particular intro kick. We just add a little SSL drive to it. And what I'm actually going to do is, this sounds like too snappy in the beginning, so I'm going to play around with the shape section on here and just turn down the punch a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Okay, cool. So that's pretty good for right now. Obviously this is mixing. I just want to hear all the elements, and then I'm going to start pulling them in and out of the mix and then make obviously changes from there. So let's get to these claps. So once again, I mean, they do sound pretty good. I mean, obviously we could tweak these a little bit more. Once again, I'm going to use the Soft Tube Console 1. Going to go here to the claps. First, I'm just going to try to control the attack. Oh yeah. Adding some weight to that. Parallel blend that in. Add a little SSL drive. Maybe just EQ this a smidge. Just trying to make that clap thing sound a little more powerful, and then add a little shelf on here. Oh, so we go from claps, looks like it goes and it changes to snaps. Don't love that because that is gonna essentially affect my processing. We'll work around it. So there we go. That's where it goes to snaps. I'm assuming it changes here. Tell that reverb cuts out there. Yep. So we're going to make another track. Just clone this. No longer will this be clap. This is going to be snaps. So that sounds real nice now. That console 1, I tell you guys, for drums and guitars, this thing is just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Wave plugins, and I love the Cakewalk stuff, but this thing for drums is perfect. I couldn't ask for anything anymore, and it's super quick, and look at the size of that plugin on the screen there. It takes up almost my entire TV monitor. So it's super big readouts. I just think it's really great. So let's get to these snaps now. So these sound, we're using the same settings from the claps. So I like this, but it needs a little high cut. There's this part of the sample that's sizzling, and it doesn't actually sound good. So what we can actually try to do is, I just turn down, I'm using this shaping section here. on the snap, and you can hear without it, we got all of his reverb, but if I take it off, lose so much of that reverb, and consequently I also lose some of that sizzling thing I didn't like. So that to me sounds much better. And now I'm going to add some of my own reverb to this. So I'm just going to go ahead and just make a bunch of buses. So for this, I think these snaps just need kind of that typical reverb, something nice. Probably use this, the reverb. Go ahead and turn down that early reflection. Make the time about 2 seconds, and I'm also going to add an EQ to roll off the high end, because if you guys know me at all, do not like bright reverbs. I think they interfere too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and bust some reverb over without it. There we go. Cool, that sounds great. I mean, that really kind of helped clean things up. I'm going to go ahead and chop up all these tracks and kind of get rid of all this dead space. I'm also going to bounce all these, do this bounce to clips things right here, just so this saving process gets a little better, and Cakewalk will like these tracks a little more. And I'll come back and we'll start, we'll continue processing all these tracks and files, and we'll keep going. So I think we left off, right here on the hi-hats. So here's our hi-hats, solo these. So it's good. You can hear that like lower mid thing coming through that I just don't particularly love on hi-hats. And once again, we'll go ahead and use the soft tube console 1. And let's go ahead and play this. That's better. It's a little softer, I guess the word is. Then there's that nasty frequency right around 5K. It's going to high pass this a little bit. Or cut the high end, I mean. Just to try to give it, it's got a little like harshness to it. So I'm just trying to help that out a little bit. Let's go ahead and add a little compression. Let's see what this does. Sometimes this makes the hi-hat a little better. Not always. So you can like really soften it, obviously, by squishing it, but so right around there it starts to get a little softer. I don't know a better word to say than softer. And then we can actually use the SSL drive to add a little bit more harmonic content back in our hi-hat. And what that kind of does is it kind of, what we took away, the little bit of bite, we can actually add it back with the drive. In my opinion, it's just a good way. I'm controlling it with the EQ and the compression, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some of that life back into it by adding some of that drive. So that's cool. So let's just take a listen to this drum package, all the drums we got. With the sub on. Adjust the bus compressor a little bit. Cool. So that is definitely sounding better. Now this hi-hat level probably could come down a little bit. So the only thing I don't love about a hi-hat down the center is that it's a lot of that space is where the vocal and some of the brightness of the vocal lays. So I don't always like doing my hi-hats down the center. In this style of music, it really kind of is a little bit more like that. So we are going to leave it. Okay, so now let's get to these toms. It's something we haven't touched at all yet. So something I've noticed is I don't know, for me, toms, somewhere around 100 to 150 hertz really is kind of unpleasant on toms in particular. And also somewhere around maybe 400 to 500 hertz. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can kind of make these toms sound a little better by cutting some of those problem frequencies, those known problem frequencies. So let's first go after that 500. It's better, it's a little nasally. Maybe 400. It's a little weird. It's a little better. Losing some of that like boxiness, I guess you would call it. And then let's try that like 120 region. See, that's good. I like that. Now let's add some compression and let's see what we can do with this. Turn up the ratio. We're going to kind of like do a parallel compression type thing where we just really over compress and then we'll blend back in the dry. Make this release a little longer. Holds a little bit longer. And then we'll back it down to the dry. Kind of like it. Almost more wet. Yeah. Add some good girth. Add a little bit of SSL drive, and then the character will help a little bit of the brightness. Bring that back so we don't lose that thing at the end there. Cool. So let's take a listen from the beginning. Probably bring those toms down too. Just a little bit. Okay, cool. So I think we finally got all these drums now put together. So the next thing we have is the piano. So this, as you can see, if we look at the dynamics on this, you can notice like everything is pretty nice all along the way. It's pretty good dynamics except for this thing right here. And that's because he did some sort of reverse thing, spliced it together, probably didn't crossfade it, and now we got this spike, this DC offset it almost looks like. So let's take a listen. Yeah, you hear that? It's just a bad audio cut, and you can just see these did not blend together well. So what I'm going to do is just really simply chop it. The measure actually starts here, so we actually have a little play in where I can crossfade this. What I'm going to do is just stretch it. I'm going to stretch this part over the top of this. So if I hold down Control, I blend right over it. I've now re-stretched the beginning part of this, which is just a reverse, so it's not really going to affect anything. Go ahead and bounce this down, and hopefully we'll get rid of that junk that we saw. As you can see, it's gone. Let's take a listen. Much better. It's still, if you notice, if you listen, it's still there, but it's actually the reverb that was left on there. So unfortunately it is. So we're gonna have to take this very first chord, and what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to cut this, and we're gonna make two tracks out of this piano track, and I'm gonna have to EQ this one teeny tiny little part so that we don't get that, because it's only because of the fact that there is reverb already on here. So, you know, it is a problem for leaving reverb on things. You know, you kind of get this situation, but like I said, it's okay. It's something I can deal with. So I'll cut this again, crossfade it one more time, pull down this thing down here, and I'm just going to EQ this separately. So whatever we end up doing to this piano, which I don't think is going to be a whole lot, and to make things sound good, it doesn't mean I have to do a whole lot. Okay, so we're going to put on the low pass. Let's listen to this. Okay, pretty close. Probably need to be eaten up a little bit more. So probably even more than that. Gosh, it's really rolled off. Let's try this. Okay, I would say that's probably all we're going to be able to get out of it. I think in the track, you're really not going to notice that little thing because I'm almost positive the vocal comes in there. And it does. So we got some like reverse stuff going on in there. And I think what I'm going to do is add that big, huge reverb that I did not set up. So let's go over here. This one, I like to use this Sonitis reverb. I know it's not like the most amazing plugin in the world, but I think this thing really sounds great for doing exactly what I want to do, is create this big, huge cathedral sound. So turn the early reflection down, turn the dry down, turn the reverb all the way up to 0. Make this a little wider, maybe like 150. I'm going to do that same high pass thing I did to the other reverb. And let's take a listen to this. Kind of like that. It's helping to add a little bit of width, and it's, you know, it's helping to create this mood that, you know, obviously this track is all about. So we got, I think we could probably leave that alone for right now. Obviously, we're just soloing, just trying to hear whatever thing's going on. But mixing is obviously about all the tracks coming together. So now we got this organ. Let's, this like starts to fade in. It's quiet. Okay, so that sounds really good. I added just a little bit of verb, but I'm hearing a little bit of, it's tough to explain. It's like a brittleness up in the high end. And the first thing I want to do is see if I can control some of that frequency shifting going on with the Waves Puke Child plugin, this compressor. Love this thing. It's so smooth. Yeah, that's good. Might have need to be faster. Yeah, there we go. It gets a little transient-y, a little too fast a transient at the end here. Plus, this plugin really helps add some just beautiful warmth to whatever you put it on. I really like it on pianos and things like that. And then we're just going to do just a low pass just to take care of that brittleness I was talking about. And I'm doing the compressor first and then the EQ because I kind of want the compressor to shape the sound a little bit more, and then I'm going to add the EQ. So I love the beginning of that. That's better. Little bit more pleasing to listen to. And I believe that happens one more time. As you can see, this is definitely different. So that's cool. I mean, that still sounds pretty good. You know, I might have to automate that in the end, but I think that's really starting to sound good. So I'm going to go ahead and play around with that, and then I'll bring you guys back. And then we're also going to go ahead and record guitar about a minute and a half into this track. We're going to record some live guitar. So that'll be cool. And then mix in the bass and the vocals, and this track will be fully complete. Okay guys, so I'm back. So this morning I had mentioned, so this is day 2 of this mix. I didn't work on it a ton yesterday, but we did go ahead and track guitar. So unfortunately, I forgot to record that, but I did shoot some video on Instagram. So let me cut to that real quick. So these are some of the guitar parts that we recorded. I'll put this solo this. So that's just kind of like gently in the mix during the, I don't know if you call this like the verse, but take a listen from here. So it kind of adds like a little, you know, a little counter melody to the vocal. Obviously the vocal isn't playing yet. And then also in the drop, we added this. So that guitar I really like. I really think it helps add some movement to this drop. So take a listen. So it's really cool. I mean, I really like that. I really think that really helped add something fun and extra to this track. It's also what the client wanted. So obviously, if you're looking to get your track mixed and mastered here, I can also do this production stuff for you. And then also hire musicians if I can't actually play it or do it for you. So just really quick, I just want to show you guys the guitar rig using the Black Star. This is the HT Club 50. Really great tube amp. I feel like it has a lot of different sounds that I can get out of it, especially with this. This is kind of like a preamp changer. EQ, overdrive, clean. We used the clean section with this tube distortion pedal, so it's got an actual tube in there. And yeah, this helps get that like in between tone. This thing either does really clean or really distorted. This kind of helps me get somewhere in between there. Use this pedal to split just a dry signal to the computer, which actually we didn't end up using. And then I am using this BBE 482 sonic maximizer through the effects loop on here. Just to help get a little bit more brightness and add a little low end to this guitar package. So that's just really quickly just the guitar breakdown what we use. Now this runs out through a speaker cable that runs into the live room to a Vintage 30 and an ISO cab, and that's how we recorded this guitar. And I actually think the microphone that we end up using was the SM57. And if I look here, yeah, we use ISO channel 1. So yes, that is an SM57 we use to record these guitar parts. And then now we're just onto the bass and the bass effects, and then there's a couple of loops, and that's really about it besides the vocal. Now, for the bass here, I'm going to take a listen to this with the subwoofer on, so I might get a little woofy in here. So I'm hearing a couple things. Right off the bat, what I'm hearing is that bass has got a lot of attack to it again, a little bit bitey attack, almost too much. And it doesn't have enough of that subby low end. The kick drum does kind of help play into the whole low end package. So channel 16, we'll pull this up, go ahead and play this bass. Add some of that 40 hertz. Oh yeah, maybe 50. Let's solo this. Turn the subs on. Oh, much better. And we'll try to take care of that attack on that. Turn up the attack on the compressor all the way, which doesn't seem to be helping as much. I don't want to kill our bass sound either. Getting like 3 decibels of reduction, so let's go to the shape section and turn down the punch. It's a little better. Just a ton of attack on that bass. Let's take a listen to it with everything together though. Actually sounds really good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Obviously there'll be some tweaking in the end. Here in the intro I did start to play around with these vocals. I added this, which is a little lead in for the vocal. Right here it's like a little I just chopped up the second half of it and kind of just copied it on the upbeat. And then it leads, and the whole point is it leads into the main vocal. Just to help bring that vocal into the verse. So, with the vocal, it actually does sound pretty good, and like a lot of the other stuff, has a lot of the effects on it already. But what I did notice is that needed to control some of the S's. So I'm using a de-esser to control the S's, especially on some of the parts. It gets really out of control. Slip out through my fingers, finest never keepers. So as you can see, 12 decibels of reduction in some of those parts. Probably have to automate that a little bit, but that was just to control it. And it still might not even be enough. And then I'm using the vocal rider a little bit fast, a little bit past 0. Just trying to help level out this vocal. I did chop these parts up. Like here, particularly, I added some verb on this extra part. So what does it follow me? And that's actually the sample from the intro, is actually this. Same sample, same vocal. And then in this bridge part here, I added a low. Just that low octave thing. It just helps change up this part a little bit and make it sound a little bit more fun. So I got to listen to the rest of this track and really start pulling this thing together. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but during this mixing process, what I actually do is I shoot videos on Instagram stories as proof that I am working on your track. And when we start adding things like guitar and start changing up the production, it's a really quick and easy way to show you what I'm doing, and as if you like it, kind of get some really quick feedback. So Instagram is kind of like the thing that I like to use to just show the progress of what I'm doing here while I'm working on your track in real time. So if you guys are looking to get your track mixed here at True Sound Studios, you guys can go ahead, email me. My email address is in the description of this video, along with the rates and things that I use and all sorts of information. So if you guys do want your track either mixed, produced, or mastered, go ahead and just email me and we'll start a conversation, figure out what you want, and just make sure that you get a really great product for a very fair price. All right, guys, so once again, thank you for joining me here at True Sound Studios, and True Sound Studios is in your ears. So thank you for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, click that like button and consider subscribing for more content. So not only do I make YouTube videos, but I also produce tracks and I can mix and master your music. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I'm Weezna and True Sound Studios is in your ears.